agenda that are there, that who we are, why ERP, who are the key players in ERP market, why SAP, different modules of SAP, and why OSIGO learning. And on top of that, the main agenda is like why, like what are the we'll discuss in details about the SAP FICO module. So who we are, OSIGO Learning is an initiative by Peerhead Consulting LLP to provide world-class training on the areas of SAP machine learning, AI and data sciences. It's promoted by a group of senior IT professionals who have collective experience of more than 50 years. All the faculty members who are teaching in OSIGO have more than a decade of experience in their particular area or the particular field of expertise. We offer both classroom and online mode of training, but right now we are into only online mode of training. And we have a dedicated placement team in place which helps the student to get the jobs after they get trained on the particular module. So what is ERP? Many of you might be knowing, but who didn't know, ERP, it stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. It's a software package by which a business maintain its or its a business control its all the resources and the data related to it. So what are the key factors that helps a business by using ERP? So it's make business more agile. It's increase the efficiency and productivity of a business. It save in a lot of unnecessary cost. It improve on the security and accessibility of the data, and obviously the bottom line is the growth of the business. So who are the key ERP products in the market? So there are few major players in this particular area. One is SAP, who has the highest market share. Second is Oracle. There is a Workday for HR, Infor, Microsoft Dynamics, and BAN. Now, just to give you a little bit of details of SAP. So SAP was founded in 1972 by three gentlemen. They are ex-IBM employees. It's the third largest IT company in the world. Yeah, SAP has the highest market share in the particular field of ERP analytics, supply chain management, human capital management, and experience management system. And just to give you some numbers, worldwide 440,000 customers are currently using SAP in 180 countries. More than 200 million users are using SAP as on date. Some percentage, it's 92% of the Forbes Global 2000 companies are currently using SAP. 98% of the most valued brands currently using SAP. It's a greenest company, 97%. And out of the total transaction that is happening in the world, out of that 77% of the transactions are touching SAP system on a day-to-day basis. So if you look at the history of SAP, as I told you, it founded in 1972 with the R1 system. In 1979 they launched the R2 system. Moving forward, 1991 they have launched this R3 system. And this R3 system it's there. I mean, like, it is also as on date. If you see, it's still running, and they keep on releasing the EHP version. So the last EHP, I think it is EHP 7, and then in 2015 they released one version called SAP SOH, and 2016 they released this SAP S4 HANA. So what is the difference between R3 and this S4 HANA system? So basically, previously SAP was using the database from some other third party, like for instance Oracle. But with S4 HANA system, they have launched their own. They launched their own system with their own database. So S4 HANA is homegrown by SAP, and this is a very fast database that really increases the system performance of SAP software. I mean, the SAP package. So what are the different modules of SAP? So there are three type of modules that you can see: functional module, technical module, and cloud products. And in functional module, we have SD, MM, FICO, PP, PS, HRM. So all these are functional modules, and please keep in mind that if you need to learn this SAP functional modules, you don't need to learn coding, or you don't need coding, if I say so. In SAP technical module, there are SAP ABAP, Basis, Enterprise Portal, BIPO, BIBW, Fury, and UI5. And in last 7 years, SAP has really focused on the cloud product. So as of now, they have very big arsenal of cloud products like S4HANA Cloud, SuccessFactors, C4C, Ariba, and so on and so forth. So now I request my colleague Shomo to take over for this SAP FICO module. He has more than 12 years of experience in SAP FICO. Over to you, Shomo.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So, as sir was already told about you SAP, about SAP, now we will talk specifically about SAP FICO. I will be sharing my screen. Please let me know if you are able to see. So, and here we go. So, is my screen visible? Anyone confirm? Is my screen visible?
Yes, show me. We can see your screen.
Okay. So, SAP, before we talk about SAP FICO, let's have a quick glance about what do you mean by FICO. Well, FI stands for finance and CO stands for controlling. Finance is, as we all know, finance is normal, the accounting and the financial transactions, the recording of financial transaction, analysis of financial transaction, and then preparing the financial statements, that is profit and loss and balance sheet, to be reported to the stakeholders. That is the FI part. And the CO part is basically the management oriented. When the management is there, the management is not just concerned with the profits, they are also concerned with the cost. They want to know where they are incurring majority of the cost, what is the nature of that cost, why that cost is incurred, what is the root cause of that cost, and is that cost necessary or not. So they need hell lot of reporting in order to meet their decisions. So basically, the decision making part, the facts are prepared in your controlling part, and based on those data, those facts, the management takes decision. So those are the two segments of FICO. Now, when I say SAP FICO, see, basically what we are trying to express here is SAP is a software, and now this software is the blood of each business. The majority of the businesses in the world, like in the previous slide, you might have seen that 92% of the economy, I'm talking of the world economy, is driven by companies who are using SAP. So SAP is their technical aid. You can say their entire reporting structure, their entire management depends upon your SAP as a software. So when I talk about SAP as a software, and then when I talk about the FICO module, that means I'm talking the business as a whole wants to handle their financial aspects, starting from the recording of the transaction to the preparation of your financial statements using the SAP software. In our previous days, in our earlier days, we used to do that in registers. There were accounting registers, there were payroll books, there were different other things. Like, I'm talking about long back. Then slowly, small softwares started coming up. Some software started looking only at the recording part of the transaction. Some started looking at the bank interface part of the finance of the business. And then SAP came out with an ambit of solutions. So many solutions that integrated the entire business process. Okay. Just a quick example of it. Let's say when you place an order in Flipkart, or say when you place an order in Amazon, the moment you select the product, you place the order, you get a confirmation that the order is there in the stock. Okay. And then you get the delivery date, the shipping date, everything. Just at a click of mouse, you get all these information. How this happens? This happens using an integrated module, an integrated software, and that software is SAP. For the date now, the integrated software is SAP. So the SAP is such a software which integrates your functionality, like your purchase department, your sales department, your finance department, your production department, your logistic department. Everything is integrated. So the moment you place an order, system goes and check whether there is a stock in the warehouse. If the stock is there in the warehouse, it gives you a confirmation. The sales team tells you that this is your sales order, this is your total value. Your product will be delivered in such and such date. This much time it will take. All these things are displayed just in a click of mouse. So that happens through an integrated software. And let's go deep into that. here you will see in the SAP FICO module, we have several sub-modules. Sub-modules in the sense the entire finance part is broken down into sub-modules, into sub-parts. You have the accounts payable part, you have the accounts receivable part, you have the asset management, you have even the taxes part. Like, different countries have different taxes. So the taxation part is also handled using FICO, your tax deductions, your cash transactions, everything you can take care through using this software. Okay. Going forward, when Oswego as a institute, when we talk about, we will be covering all these modules during our training, the entire thing, starting from how the accounts payable works, how the general ledger accounting is done, all those things we will be talking about. And here we will just give you a small idea like which modules means what. So the general ledger accounting is basically your journal entries, where your books of accounts, you can say, where you record your transaction, your day-to-day transactions are recorded, starting from your sales or maybe like payment of salary, payment of expenses. All these things are recorded in your general ledger accounting part. Then you have the accounts payable part. The accounts payable part is both, like when you purchase the raw material or the finished goods or the semi-finished goods from your market, that is done by the purchase department. So what the purchase department does, let's say in the warehouse there is a requirement of a product. So the warehouse team will, the purchase team will say that yeah, we need such and such raw material, and they will place, and the purchase department will look for the vendors who can provide these products. Then they will ask those vendors, this is your purchase order, please give me the product within 10 days or 15 days, whatever the terms and agreements would be there. Based on that, you will have the goods received. Then when the goods receipt is done, then you will issue an invoice to the vendor, and then finally make a payment to the vendor. So you see, there is an entire cycle of activities involved. There is the purchase department, there is the finance department, everything is involved. So that's pretty well taken care by the SAP FI accounts payable part. Okay. These are some technical part which you will learn when you get into the detailed concept or the detailed training of SAP FICO. Then you have the accounts payable overview. This is what I have been telling you, like, when I talk about accounts payable in the FI area, we start with the master data. Like, what is the master data? We have to maintain the vendor master data. Who all are vendors? What is their address? What are their bank account numbers? What is their payment method? Whether they want to take the payment in cash, whether they want to take the payment in electronic form. So that all data is maintained in your master data section. Then you have the invoice, like your purchase invoice, maybe from the MM side, or directly you can purchase, let's say I purchased an asset directly from a vendor. So that entry, that asset invoice entry will be posted in your invoice processing part. Then finally you will make the payments, you will do the accounts analysis, like what is the overdue amount, what is the number of days within which the accounts payable has to be made the payment. Then you do the reconciliations. Then you have the periodic processing like month end closing activities and all. And finally you have the reportings, like the entire reports related to your accounts payable can be generated from your SAP FI accounts payable. Then there is this accounts receivable. Accounts receivable is same as accounts payable, but here we have the dealing to the customer. Let's say we are selling to the customer. So in that case, we have the sundry debtors. We maintain their customer accounts. Again, we maintain their master data. So you see the cycle here. We maintain the master data. We maintain the credit management also. Like credit management, you might have seen you get to purchase when there are business dealings. There are credits also. Like we sell goods to customers on credit. Some customers have credit of 15 days. Some have get credit of 30 days. Some get discount of 2 months. So remembering all these things and doing it one by one is a huge task. But in a big business, you don't do manual activities. All these things can be configured using SAP. Like in the system, you can feed the data that, okay, so and so customer, this is the credit period, this is the percentage of discount if they pay before the due date. What is their due date? What is the due date calculation, net due date analysis? Everything can be done using the system itself. We just need to get the data, store it in the system, and the system will do it, the processing one by one. So that's pretty well maintained in the master data and the credit management part. In fact, in SAP S4HANA, we have the dynamic credit management also. Like we can fetch let's say I have two customers, and based on their CIBIL score or based on their rating from credit agency, I can maintain the credit management of these customers in my system. So the SAP system will integrate with the credit management agencies, and from there they will fetch the credit rating of that particular customer. Okay, so that's how the SAP system can be integrated. It can be it's the right point here I mentioned. SAP is such a system which can be integrated with any third-party system. Means mostly with any third-party system, be it bank systems, be it credit management part, be it any third-party software. SAP has such capability that it can be integrated with little bit of customization and code changes. So coming back to the accounts receivable part. So once we maintain the master data, we do the invoice processing. Then we have the payments received from the customers. Again, we do the accounts analysis and reconciliation. That is pretty well the different accounts receivable reports that we generate. What is the due date, what is the data's turnover ratio, in how many days the payment cycle happens. All these things can be analyzed using your account analysis and reconciliation. Then we have the periodic processing, that's again the month end closing, and then the last is the reporting part. The management may want to have several reports relating to accounts receivable. Then we have the asset management. These are, keep in mind, these are sub modules of SAP FICO. Like these modules we will be working on when we work as SAP consultants. These are the modules we will be working on. Then you have the asset management. So this is quite simple. Every business has its asset. They have factories, they have buildings, they have machineries, they have plants. So all these assets needs to be recorded. Like what is their value, what is their depreciation. The system should be able to calculate their depreciation automatically. Okay, so all these things can be done using SAP. Yeah, we have, when we call, let's say the business has 5 buildings. So how those buildings data will be maintained in the asset management part of SAP using your different concepts like asset class, and then the different master data which need to be maintained in the system, so that the system is aware that okay, for this business these are the assets, this is their depreciation rate, this is their useful life. All these things can be maintained in SAP system. This is again the small brief pictorial representation of how the assets are represented. So at the bottom level you have your assets, individual assets. Then these assets are clubbed together into asset class. Let's say I have buildings. So I have buildings, building A, building B, or say factory building or administrative buildings, employee cafeteria. All these 5 buildings are there. They can be clubbed together.
Hello.
Asset class called building. These, yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. I think we missed you.
Pictorial representation. We have the individual assets. These assets are clubbed together into buildings. This is a word which is used in for the clubbing together. This is the word which is used in SAP, that is asset class. These asset class will form part of your balance sheet in the terms of GL accounts. Means the entire value of all these assets will be put together under the asset class. This asset class will be linked to a GL account, and that GL account will be shown in your balance sheet as an asset. Coming on to the controlling part. So controlling part, as I told you, it's basically the management oriented. Now, this is again a niche skill. When I say a niche skill, in SAP, there are there are a few number of consultants who predominantly work in the controlling part. So controlling part, as I told you, is management reporting part. The management may want several reports for their decision making. Let's say, for example, in my business has I have 3 different business. Let's say one is in one business has a plant in Ahmedabad, one has a plant in Chennai, and the other one has a plant in Kolkata. Now the cumulative profit of all these 3 plants is 200 crores. Okay, but the profit of plant in Ahmedabad is say 100 crores. The profit of plant in Chennai is, let's say, 110 crores, but the plant in Kolkata is making a loss of 10 crores. Now, if the business says, if the stakeholders or the shareholders or the management sees the profit, they will say that they are running in 200 crores profit. They are in 200 crores surplus. But if they go deep and do the analysis each plant wise, they will realize that there is one plant which is decreasing my profit by 10 crores. So there they will make the decision whether I need to continue with this plant or should I shut down this plant. So this is a high level example, where the management needs more granular reports to make their decisions. Okay. In business, you will find such critical decision making points, and for that, some data, some facts, some deep analysis is required, and that reporting is supplied by your controlling part. In SAP we call that as controlling module or the management module. So here you will find different sub modules like cost center accounting, then you have the activity based costing, you have internal orders, you have profit center accounting. So these are different terms which are used in SAP controlling. A brief introduction about that is also given here, like what is cost centers. Cost centers are basically the places where costs are incurred. Let's say, for example, your factory building is a cost center, your office cafeteria is a cost center, your research and development unit is a cost center. So the area where costs are incurred, those are termed as your cost centers. Okay. So you need to do the analysis for your cost centers. Then internal orders are some intermediaries which are used to collect cost. Let's say I'm, holding an event, let's say for the promotion of my business. So all the costs which are held for the promotional activity will be posted in an internal order. Okay. So internal order is an intermediary cost collector. Then you have the profit center accounting. Profit center is basically the units where both cost and profits are incurred. Let's say, for example, I have a product. Okay, I manufacture a product and that product is sold in the market. So I can classify that product as my profit center, because for manufacturing that product, I will incur cost. And when I sell that product, I will incur revenue. So ultimately, revenue minus cost, I will get my profits. So that product can be classified as a profit center. In this way, you can classify anything to be your profit center based on your business requirement. You can classify the products as your profit center. You can classify the regions. Let's say I'm having business in East zone, West zone, South zone, and North zone. So I can classify each zone as a profit center, and I can do the analysis based on this. Moving forward, so these are the topics we will be covering. Now, let me come straight to the point, like what we will be doing, what we are best in doing, and what we are continuing doing, and what we will be doing. So when I say we are going to work on the SAP FICO training part, we are going to work together. That means we will be covering these all topics in order to prepare the candidates, in order to prepare the prospective candidates as SAP consultants. Okay, so these are the topics that we will be covering. There will be an S4HANA overview. There will be introduction of the FICO and enterprise structure. There will be introduction to FICO and enterprise structure. Enterprise structure is how your business means, you already have a business, right? The business is running. The business has its own units. The business has its own profit centers. So all these things need to be maintained in the SAP system. So that's basically done in the enterprise structure. Then we will talk about the new general ledger concept. We will be covering the accounts receivable and accounts payable part, how we maintain the data in the SAP system, how the transactions are posted, how the analysis is done, how the reports are generated. All these things we will be doing in the SAP system. Okay, then we will also be working on the asset accounting part. We will be working on the controlling part. We will be working on the cost estimation. We will be working on cost estimation and further portions of cost part. Then last will be your financial statement version. That is your how financial statements are provided. So that's how it will be. How the methodology will be. You will get means we will be having an SAP system with us. We will have access there. We will work on the live scenarios, like in real life, how SAP is being used, what are the different master data that needs to be maintained, how the customization is done, what are the different business scenarios that come that we face in business, and how they are handled using SAP system. Okay, like let's say there is a bank who wants to do payment. There is a bank who wants to make only electronic payment, and they have some account number restrictions. Like their account numbers are 15 digits, but the standard SAP system comes with 10 digits. So how those customization is done, how those requirements are handled, all these things we will be going through. Okay, the customization. Once you become a consultant, once you are trained and you get experience and you get the learning about how SAP works, what are the different customization, what are the different configurations required in order to use the SAP system, then you will get a scope to work in what different types of projects. You may work in an implementation project, You may work as a support project, or you may work as an end user. Implementation projects means what? Let's say there is a company who is using some other ERP, let's say Tally or something, but now they want to migrate themselves into SAP. So what they will do, they will implement SAP in their business. So in order to implement SAP in their business, it's not just that you can install the software and start working. No, there is a whole lot of risk involved. Like you as a consultant, you need to understand their business, how they do the business, what are the different business transactions. All these things you need to understand. And in their legacy ERP system, or their in the Tally system, how they were actually doing the transactions, that you need to understand. Based on that understanding, we will provide them consultation. Okay, in SAP, because they are not aware of SAP, they don't know how things are done in SAP. So we will make them understand that these are the things that you need to do. This is how the configuration will be. We will design them a blueprint. Okay, we will tell them that how the business process will be using SAP. So that's quite interesting activity actually. When you interact with the client and understand their business, so those activities you will be doing in your implementation. Then you have the support project. What are support projects? So this is when companies, those who are already using SAP, but still, they may face day-to-day issues with it. So what they need to do, they need to have one SAP consultant who is pro in SAP, who knows in and out of SAP, and that way there we work as support team. We provide them support in case they face issues in while using SAP as their software. Okay, and the third will be SAP super user or super user or super end user. Like you can get employed in big companies who are already using SAP, and you will be working as an accountant or as an executive accountant in those companies using SAP. Which you will be doing the posting of transactions, you will be doing the analysis of reports, you will be doing the reconciliation of transactions. So these are your end user transactions. Basically, you will be using SAP as your business tool. So those are the most popular roles of SAP consultant. Moving further, so this is a quick snap how the approach will be. Firstly, when we talk about SEO, there are a lot of spaces, a lot of additional advantages. Like first thing is live. The faculties, they are working in running projects. They have the practical experience of what's happening in the business arena, what's the new thing that has come with SAP. So you will get the freshest stuff out of them, like the fresh things from the market. So that's one of the benefits that you will be getting. The total course duration will be about 35 to 42 hours, 45 hours. Will be weekend classes, Saturday, Sunday, those kind of classes. The classes will not be just theory; it will all be practical classes. When I say practical, that means the faculty will take you through. First, they will clarify what is the base, what is the topic that we are talking about, what is its concept. Once the concept is understood, then we will implement that concept in SAP, and then we will do the live transactions, live business scenarios in the SAP system. So you will always have access to the live SAP system. At the end of the training, there will be projects will be there where you will get the live project demo, the live project experience. Those will be there. So these are some of the benefits of what our organization provides. Like there will be help throughout your training course and beyond your after training course also. You will have expert career counseling. You will have access to the SAP system all around. You can use the SAP system throughout the after your training. You will be helped in preparation of this resume, CV, and we will also help you for the certification, like certification which is provided directly. That also will be helping if needed, if the candidate needs it. And these are some of the other benefits. I think Saurabh can discuss more on these points. Saurabh, would you like to take it up?
I think
So just a second. Guys, one quick minute here. So this is the structure that I was talking about, like how the training methodology is. First of all, the faculties or the teachers or the trainers, they are MNCs who are actually working in different projects. Maybe some are working in implementation projects, some are working in rollout, support, all these projects. So you will get a flavor of that. Because once you get trained as a functional consultant or FIC consultant, you will have to work in some projects. And when you get into some projects, if you
if you
already
already
have
have
the
the
idea
idea
of
of
how
how
the
the
situations are
situations are
handled,
handled,
how
how
we
we
approach to the
approach to the
client, what
client,
is the
what is the
business
business
approach
approach
to
to
handle
handle
different
different
situations.
situations.
All these
All
things
these
can
things
be
can be
provided
provided
by
by
the
the
experienced teachers or
experienced
the
or the
experienced
experienced
trainers.
trainers.
So that's
So
all
that's
we
all
will be
we will
doing.
be doing.
There will
There
be
will be
project work,
project
like
work,
after
like
the
after
end of
the
the
end of the
training, when you
training, when
know
you
how
know
the
how the
configurations are
configurations
done,
are
when you
done,
know
when you
about
know
the
about the
concepts, you know
concepts, you
about
know
the
about the
business
business
scenario, then you
scenario,
will
then
be
you will be
working on
working on
projects,
projects.
okay,
Okay,
some
some
demo kind
demo
of
kind of
projects.
projects.
And then
And
there
then
will be
there will be
hands-on
hands-on
training.
training.
Hands-on
Hands-on
training in the
training in
sense
the
you will
sense you will
always have
always have
access to the
access to the
SAP
SAP
system.
system.
Whatever you
Whatever
learn
you
in your
learn in your
training, you can
training, you can
practice it
practice it
at your
at
free
your
time.
free time.
And
And
then we in our
in
field, we
hospital,
also
we
have a
also have a
knowledge
knowledge
base
base
which you can
which you can
access
access
to learn
to learn
more,
more.
maybe
Maybe
starting with
starting with
some
some
study
study
materials, some
materials, some
PPTs, some
PPTs,
study
some study
notes, all
notes,
these
all
things.
these things.
Okay,
Okay,
access.
access.
So
So
that was a
that
quick
was a quick
glance from
glance
my
from my
side, like
side, like
how
how
we will be
we will
doing
be
the
doing
these part.
these part.
Rest I can
Rest I
sort
can
of
sort of
handle.
handle.
Any
Any
doubts?
doubts,
Anything
anything
anyone wants
anyone
to
wants
ask?
to ask?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was
So I
just
was just
coming to that
that part area,
Q&A
Q&A
only.
only.
So if
So
anyone feel any further doubt, you can type in your question in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask your
ask your
questions.
questions. Let's see a demo on key configuration we are going to integrate. Cloud for customer influence here. We are currently logged into a cloud for customer tenant. As a first step, we need to do the scoping. So let's go to the business configuration center.
Sorry, what about the fee structure? Can you tell me the fee structure and how do you separate your the fees?
Let's see a demo on key configuration we are going to integrate. Cloud for customer influence here. We are currently logged into a cloud for customer tenant. As a first step, we
Mr. Pradeep, can you please drop in your mail ID here in the chat box so that I can contact you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
Another request to all the students that we have a
Uh,
YouTube channel
channel
called
called
OCP
Osco
Learning.
Learning.
You can
You can
just
just
subscribe to our
subscribe to our
channel.
channel.